Welcome to DJ's Dancefloors and I-Dos, the podcast that helps engaged couples like you plan an unforgettable wedding day, one beat at a time. Hello there, I'm your host, Shane Griffin, professional wedding DJ and MC with over 20 years experience, and here I share real advice, smart planning tips, and behind-the-booth insights to help you feel confident, organized, and ready to celebrate your big day. Congratulations! Now, whether you're just starting out or deep into wedding planning, you're in the right place. Now, before we get started with today's episode, a couple of quick reminders. First, check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Shane Griffin Entertainment. Secondly, like and subscribe to this podcast so you can be alerted when new episodes drop. And third, check us out online. LetShaneEntertain.com, where you can find our list of entertainers, pricing, vendor referral partners, our informative blog, and really everything you need to help you make informed entertainment decisions. And lastly, I've developed a free ebook titled The Bride's Guide to Wedding DJs, and it's available to you for free. All you got to do is send me an email, shanegriffinentertainment@gmail.com. That's shanegriffinentertainment@gmail.com, and I'll send it right out to you. This 8-page guide will help you immensely as you're making entertainment decisions. Okay, that's out of the way. Let's jump into episode 14. How much should a wedding DJ cost? If you're currently planning a wedding, chances are you've already started reaching out to DJs. And if you have, you probably have noticed something confusing right off the rip. One DJ quotes $600, another $1,200, another quotes you $2,500, and then maybe you find somebody that will do it for like $400. So naturally, you're asking yourself the question, why is there such a huge difference in pricing when it comes to DJs? After all, aren't they just showing up and playing music? Well, the answer to that is no. And understanding why may save you from one of the most expensive mistakes couples make during wedding planning. Today, I want to, dare I say, pull back the curtain and explain exactly what goes into wedding DJ pricing, what you should expect to pay, what red flags to watch for, and how to determine whether a DJ is actually worth the investment. Because here's what I can tell you after more than 20 years in the business. The cheapest DJ is rarely the cheapest option. The most expensive DJ isn't always the best option. What matters here is value, and that's what we're talking about today. Let me start with a story. Several years ago, I met with a couple who had booked a DJ solely based on his price. He was several $100s cheaper than every other company they contacted. At first, they felt great about it. They thought they had found a bargain. Then, the problem started. Communication was slow, planning calls did not happen, questions went unanswered, the timeline wasn't built, song requests weren't organized, and as the wedding day approached, they became more nervous by the day. Eventually, they called me. Not because they wanted to spend more money, because they wanted that peace of mind. And that's something many couples don't realize. When you're hiring a wedding DJ, you're not simply buying music. You're buying confidence, experience, and preparation. You're buying someone who knows how to manage one of the most important days of your life. Like what you hear so far? Then give us a like and be sure to subscribe. If you're a newly engaged couple, this podcast, DJ's Dancefloors and I-Dos, was built specifically for you. And today we're talking about how much a wedding DJ costs. Now let's talk numbers. Of course, pricing varies by market. A wedding here in Charleston, South Carolina will be much different than a wedding in New York City. But generally speaking, you'll find wedding DJs fall into 3 categories. The first is what I call the budget DJ. Typically, they'll fall somewhere between, let's say, $500 and $1,000. Now, before I go any further, let me be clear. Pricing alone doesn't make someone a good DJ or a bad DJ. There are talented DJs in every pricing category, but generally speaking, budget DJs are often newer to the industry, part-time operators, hobbyists, or individuals working without the systems and support structure of an established company. That doesn't automatically mean they're a bad choice. It just means you should ask more questions. How many weddings have they performed? Do they carry backup equipment? Do they have liability insurance? What happens if they get sick? Do they have online planning tools? Do they provide timeline assistance? These are important questions because weddings don't offer do-overs. The second category is what I would call the professional wedding DJ category. In many markets, this ranges from roughly $1,200 to about $2,000. This is where you'll often find experienced wedding specialists who perform weddings regularly, have established planning processes, professional-grade equipment, backup systems, and a proven track record. In my opinion, this is where many couples find the best balance between value and investment. You're not simply paying for music, you're paying for expertise. You're paying for preparation. You're paying for someone who's already solved hundreds of problems before they even occur. And then there's the premium category. These DJs often range from $2,000 to about $4,000 or more. These companies may include extensive production services, custom lighting, multiple team members, advanced planning systems, luxury experiences, or highly specialized entertainment offerings. For some couples, that's exactly what they want. For others, it may be more than they need. The key isn't finding the cheapest DJ. The key is finding the right DJ for your priorities. Want my free ebook titled The Bride's Guide to Wedding DJs? Just send me an email, shanegriffinentertainment@gmail.com, shanegriffinentertainment@gmail.com. This free 8-page guide will help you immensely as you're making those critical entertainment decisions. Now let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes couples make when comparing DJs. They compare price before they compare what they're actually getting. Imagine you're shopping for a vehicle. You walk into a dealership and one has a certain kind of truck for $25,000. Another offers one for $45,000. And without knowing anything else, the cheaper one looks like the better deal. But what if the first truck has 200,000 miles, no warranty, worn tires, and an engine that's seen its better days? Well, suddenly the comparison changes, doesn't it? The same thing happens with wedding DJs. One DJ may include ceremony audio, cocktail hour, reception coverage, planning meetings, online planning tools, professional MC services, backup equipment, liability insurance, and timeline development. Another DJ may simply show up with speakers and a playlist and hope for the best. The prices may be completely different because the services are completely different. That's why asking, "How much do you charge?" is only the beginning of the conversation. A better question to ask is, what exactly is included? Because that's where the real value lives. Now let's talk about something that couples often overlook. The wedding DJ is one of the few vendors who is involved in almost every single major moment of your wedding day. Think about it. Your photographer, incredibly important. The florist, important. So is the caterer, and obviously so is the venue. But your DJ touches nearly every part of the experience. The ceremony, cocktail hour, intros, first dance, the toasts, dinner music, the dance floor, the send-off, the timeline, the announcements, the transitions, the energy, the flow, you get it. When something goes wrong, the DJ is often one of the first people helping solve the problem. I've coordinated with photographers running behind schedule. I've adjusted timelines because transportation was late. I've even filled time when a caterer needed additional minutes to get the dinner ready. I've worked through wedding delays. I've become somewhat of an amateur weatherman in the summer here in Charleston. I've handled power outages. I've managed unexpected family situations. Most couples don't think about those things when they're comparing prices. But experience matters when real life happens. And trust me, it always does. No wedding day unfolds exactly as planned. That's not pessimism, that's simply reality. The question is whether the person running your entertainment has the experience to adapt on the fly. One of the easiest ways to evaluate value is to ask a DJ about their process. Questions like, what happens after you book? What planning tools do they provide? How do they gather music selections? How do they build the timeline? How often do they communicate? What support do they provide leading up to the wedding? A professional should be able to answer those questions quickly and clearly. If the answer is vague, that should be your clue. Because weddings aren't won on the wedding day, they're won in the months leading up to it. Preparation creates confidence. Confidence creates great experiences, and great experiences create great weddings. Another thing couples should consider is reviews. Now, I'm not saying reviews tell the whole story, but they do tell a part of it. If a DJ has performed hundreds of weddings and consistently receives positive feedback, that's meaningful. Look for patterns. Do couples mention communication? Do they mention professionalism, organization, packed dance floors, stress reduction? If so, those are the things that matter. Anybody can claim they're great. The real question is whether past clients say they're great. Here's another question I encourage couples to ask prospective DJs. What happens if you can't make my wedding? It's not the most exciting question, but it's an important one. Life happens. People get sick, family emergencies occur, cars break down, and flights get canceled. A professional company should have a backup plan. In fact, they should have multiple backup plans. You don't want to discover the answer to that question the morning of your wedding day. You want to know before you ever sign a contract. And speaking of contract, let's talk about another red flag. If a DJ doesn't use a written agreement, run. Seriously. A contract protects both sides. It outlines expectations, it clarifies services, it reduces misunderstandings. Professional vendors use professional agreements, period. Now let me share another story. A couple once told me they were considering a DJ who was nearly half my price. I encouraged them to meet with him. Not because I wanted to lose that booking, but because I wanted them to make the best decision for themselves. Ultimately, it's what's in your best interest, not mine, as the DJ. A week later, they called me back. The conversation with the other DJ lasted less than 10 minutes. There were no questions about the wedding, no questions about the timeline, the venue, kind of the expectations of the guest experience, no discussion about planning. The entire conversation centered around the price. The bride then told me on that phone call something that I'll never forget. She said, "I realized I wasn't hiring a DJ, I was hiring a speaker system when talking to this guy." And that's the difference. A professional wedding DJ isn't simply pressing play. We're helping create an experience and helping tell a story. Now, does that mean every couple should hire the most expensive DJ they can find? Absolutely not. Your wedding budget is real. Every couple has priorities. For some couples, entertainment may be one of the highest priorities. For others, it may not be. The goal is not to spend more, the goal is to spend wisely. And here's a simple framework that I would recommend. Ask yourself these 3 questions. First, do I trust this person I want to hire? Second, do I feel confident in their process? And third, do I believe they can deliver the experience we want? If the answer to all 3 of those is yes, then you're probably looking at a very strong candidate. Price matters. Of course it matters. But confidence matters more, and confidence has value. Now, before we wrap up today's episode, let me leave you with one final thought. Most couples spend months selecting flowers they'll see for just a couple of hours. Months selecting centerpieces, linens, decor details. And those things, don't get me wrong, absolutely matter. But years later, when guests talk about your wedding, they're usually not talking about the plates or the flowers. They talk about how the wedding felt, the atmosphere, the energy, the celebration. They talk about those moments. And your entertainment plays a huge role in creating those moments. That's why choosing a DJ is more than about price. It's about trust, preparation, professionalism. And it's about finding someone who can help you create an experience your guests will remember long after the wedding day is over. Thanks so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. Here's some final thoughts for you. The cheapest DJ isn't always the best value. And the most expensive DJ isn't always the right fit. Focus less on finding the lowest price and more on finding the right professional. Ask questions, compare services, understand the process, and choose someone who gives you confidence, because on your wedding day, confidence is worth a lot. Thanks so much for listening today to DJ's Dance Floors and I Do's. If today's episode helped you feel more confident about your wedding entertainment plans, I'd love for you to follow this podcast, leave a review, or share it with someone newly engaged. Our goal here is to provide free, unbiased content to help you make better entertainment decisions. DJ's Dance Floors and I Do's is a presentation of Shane Griffin Entertainment, produced by Rob Duran. Check us out on social, Facebook and Instagram at Shane Griffin Entertainment, and also check our website, LetShaneEntertain.com. That's LetShaneEntertain.com. One more reminder about our free ebook titled The Bride's Guide to Wedding DJs. To request a free copy, simply send me an email, ShaneGriffinEntertainment@gmail.com. That's ShaneGriffinEntertainment@gmail.com. Join us for our next episode, number 15, Wedding DJ Red Flags, warning signs every couple should know before they book. Until then, cheers!